Today we're in New York hanging out with Eric Wind. Eric is the VP Senior Specialist of Watches at Christie's, the worldwide auction house. Prior to that, Eric was a writer at Hodinkee, one of the leading watch blogs in the world, where he developed a cult following amongst watch enthusiasts. Eric is a musician, a golfer, and a watch guy. Today, we're going to get to know Eric a little better and hear some really great watch stories.
I guess I was always interested in watches, but never really had a mechanical watch until my grandfather passed away. My mom got it cleaned up and serviced and gave it to me for my birthday. It was a Hamilton from 1947 that he wore his whole life. I wore it a lot my senior year. Around that time, Hodinkee started, and I began just religiously reading it daily about vintage watches. That really began an obsession. When I graduated from college, I was making a little bit of money and bought my first vintage watch, which was a Hoyer Carrera with Jeff Stein's help. We began exchanging messages, and I began sending interesting listings to Ben to write about on Hodinkee. And then he asked if I wanted to write something. So I wrote my first articles on the Pull Router by Gerald Genta. I began writing about auctions, and then I began working at Christie's full time. So I left my job in the biofuel industry, which I had a little trepidation about because I thought it might ruin my love for watches, but instead it's made me love watches just as much, if not more, than before, which is fantastic. I've got a 2.5-year-old son who's becoming really passionate about golf thanks to my brainwashing of him. We love to go hit golf balls together. Right now it's mostly driving range. Once he starts hitting it a little bit further, we'll actually be able to play 9 holes together. I've been very passionate about Vulcan crickets. I used to work in Washington, D.C., had a few government internships, and always was interested in politics and history. And this is certainly the best cricket I've ever owned. It's got a spectacular multi-paneled dial. I just love the sound of the alarm. It's got beautiful texture to it, but sort of the most interesting thing is that it has a presidential or vice presidential seal above 6 o'clock. Vice President Nixon was given a cricket in 1955 when he gave a speech during the campaign season to the National Association of Watch and Clock Collectors. And there's a photo of him holding it up. It's unfortunately not very clear what the watch looks like on the dial. He had later sent it to Vulcan for servicing and sent a letter that it had accompanied him all over the world and all through his campaign. And that watch seems to be missing, so it's possible this is that watch. There's no other watch known like it with the seal on the dial. This is a Rolex Precision, which I think is just such an elegant watch. It's the only one with this dial configuration I've seen. It's got a beautiful 12 and 6 that are sort of almost modernist from the early 1950s. But what I really love is the color of the dial. It's got this sort of beige patina, and the dial configuration is exactly the same as my favorite Rolex reference, the 8171, which was their automatic triple calendar with moon phase. And this has the same hands and same markers and same 12 as an 8171 in steel. I bought this right after I started at Christie's. It was sort of a gift to myself for starting there. It's extremely elegant and easy to wear. This is my favorite Gallet in the world. It's got this beautiful gray and black dial. The case is truly spectacular. It's a mint and very early serial, probably circa 1940. These were among the first waterproof chronographs. They developed this clamshell process of screwing in the case back behind the lugs. And the gray and black dial, the overall condition of this watch is just to die for. I couldn't imagine a better Gallet. I've owned a few, but I think this one's a keeper. This is a Reverso tribute to 1931, but this is the US edition that has sort of vintage looking lume on the dial. They made 200 of them. It was a gift from my best man, and it's my one modern watch. I'm really a passionate vintage guy, but this is an amazing watch to just wear and know that it's pretty rock solid and has some water resistance. And it's so elegant. I wore it to my wedding. Right now I don't have anything engraved on the back, but the list of things to buy in the future might be a coat of arms from the College of Arms in London. That would be pretty awesome to get engraved, and I look forward to giving it to my son one day and it passing down in the family. The history behind the Reverso is something so appealing in the design. The fact that this is probably one of the few watches I feel you can wear in a formal occasion and also wear casually. So I love this watch. This is the most beautiful Heuer chronograph I've ever seen. And Heuer is sort of my first love and how I got into vintage watches. For me, this is really a keeper. It's from the early 40s. It's got a 1943 service mark in it. It's got these early pushers that are rounded, glued hands. It's got a silver two-tone dial with these big registers that looks very reminiscent of the Patek 1463. You just can't not wear this and smile when you look down at the time. Got a number of Longines watches, but I think the quality of the watches they were making in the 1930s and 1940s was really incredible. And they were tool watches, but really well-built movements. Very easy to repair. They went into war, they did all kinds of things. This is from 1943. The dial is absolutely spectacular. It's got this black and gray. It's non-luminous, which is sort of unusual. I love wearing this watch. Also looks amazing with the suit. Along with this idea that you don't have to spend a ton of money for a great watch. This is a Lucien Picard from the 1970s. It had a really busted up crystal. It's a dial that's made by Singer, which made the Paul Newman dials. So it's got that Paul Newman exotic register, but it also has this little yachting red track I've only ever seen on one other watch besides a few Lucien Picard chronographs, and that's the Rolex Yachtmaster prototype, of which 3 were made. Here's the closest thing you could get in terms of a dial for $300. And it's got a Heuer Camaro case. It's got the date as well, which is cool. It's a value 7734. I just love this watch. I've still always leaned toward trying to buy as original watches as possible. It's always best to buy the best example of something, no matter what your price point, whether it's trying to buy the best $200 watch you can rather than going for a poor condition, something that you're stretching a little bit for with non-original parts. My very first vintage watch, which was this very early Heuer Carrera with white dial, was very scratched up. I sent it to a great watchmaker and he asked if he should polish it and make it look new. That's a big regret. Obviously it looked spectacular because they get this beautiful shiny finish, which they originally had, but then it lost the real sharp edges. Definitely keeping things as original as possible, even if it looks a little worn. I actually grown to love a watch that has some patina. I think it's beautiful. They shouldn't look brand new if they're from the 1960s or earlier. That's really important for collectors to realize, and I see a lot of collectors enter looking for a brand new looking vintage watch, and that's not the correct mindset to have if you're collecting these pieces. They're just such amazing pieces of mechanical innovation, and they're part of our human history. It's something that speaks to so many of us because of watches we've inherited. We can see the craftsmanship in them, and it's something we sort of want to celebrate. It's artwork, but it's also industry, and it's the same things that really motivate people collecting art, I think, motivate people collecting watches in a different way.